guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kelsey. I'm Crochet with Kelsey over on Instagram, and I'm a crocheter, pattern designer, and small business owner. In this video today, I'm going to be answering your questions. I thought it would be kind of cute and fun to sit in front of my little organized yarn wall. So let me know what y'all think about this. I know the stuff on the sides isn't very pretty, so just try not to pay any attention to that. Anyway, so I posted a couple of stories throughout this last week asking people to ask me any question that they wanted. So I'm going to be answering every single question that was submitted on those Instagram stories today. So if you submitted a question, you will get your answer. So let's go ahead and get into it. So the first question is, would you ever look into doing requested patterns? Maybe taking the most requested for a poll. So over on my Patreon, I definitely am taking requested patterns. I know it started this month, so I didn't have a lot of feedback for the January pattern, but in the future, I will be taking requests for what people want to see as the pattern of the month over there. I've seen a lot of creators also do like milestone free patterns where they say, yay, I hit this number on Instagram. So comment below your 3 favorite emojis, and whichever comment gets the most likes, they end up making that pattern as a free pattern, and I would consider doing that in the future, maybe for my next big milestone. So keep your eyes peeled for that, and also on my Patreon you have a lot of different voting power to decide what I'll be working on next. The next question, can you make a pattern for the Secret Santa fox, please? So me and some of my crochet friends did a Secret Santa gift exchange, and I got Millie, Red Mills Crochet, and I made a new pattern for her because I didn't know really what to make her, but she likes foxes and she likes mythical creatures and beings. So I decided to make the fairy fox, and that's how that came to life. And although I have sent it off, I did write down everything. I took all the pictures, so the pattern will be ready to go in a little bit. You can keep your eyes peeled on my page for the tester call for that. My favorite Pokemon is either Growlithe or Pachirisu. They are just extremely cute and I love them both, and I'm gonna stick with that before I decide to add more to that list. What are the plans for my Patreon and YouTube? So for my Patreon this year, I'm trying to just stay consistent on there, and I want to make a place where crocheters can come to talk and kind of find a community, and also enjoy, you know, the perks of getting the free Patreon exclusive pattern a month and kind of get to see a behind the scenes of what I'm working on. As I've been working on my last pattern, for example, my Patreon subscribers actually decided one of the placements on my plushies that's going to be turned into a pattern. So it's kind of cool to just see that they kind of get a say in what I'm doing, and it's really fun. I'm also super indecisive, so it's nice to have a community to kind of tell me what they like or just give another opinion. So yeah, lots of big plans. My plans for YouTube, I'm just going to try to post as consistently as possible and hopefully grow on here as well, because it is really fun to have this channel and I like coming up with new ideas. I have fun editing the videos, so yeah, just stay tuned for a lot more fun content over here. What other hobbies do you have / had in the past? So when I'm not crocheting, I like reading, I like playing cozy video games, I like working out, and most importantly, I like spending time with my little family of my fiance Nick, my dog Bonnie, and my cat Max. And I'm sure plenty of y'all have seen my fur babies, who I feature quite often. I actually used to make and sell wax melts, which is kind of random, and I started an Etsy shop for actually selling wax melts. And I don't know, the wax community was just like really harsh, and you know, someone would give me a 1-star review because they didn't like the scent or they didn't like the shape of the wax melt, and they were like really hard to ship and everything. So I'm really glad that I found crochet because it allowed me to kind of step out of that world, which was scary. It was still fun though. Do you have a whip pile? How much is in it? So I actually had to dig this out for this specific question. I've had this orangutan plushie. So when I was like a baby, brand new crocheter, I was asking Nick, what would you like? And he said that he'd like an orangutan. So being super optimistic, I found an orangutan pattern and I was like, all right, let's go to town. And I still haven't finished it. So this is the body. I have one of the arms done, and this is eyelash yarn, which is a nightmare to work with. And then I have another hand done, and it sucks because I know that it would look so much better if I was to start it now, but I just feel weird about finishing it because it's gonna be like half beginner level skill and half like better, more experienced crocheter skill. So maybe now that I got this out, I can actually finish it someday because it needs to get out of this bag that it's been sitting in for the last 2 years. And then I also have, I don't know if you would consider this a whip, but I made this shirt a while ago and I just need to block it. So I really have never liked the crochet clothes that I've made, but I actually made this before we went to Italy last year and I was like, oh, that's gonna be so cute. And then I just didn't have it finished. So I finished it when I got back, but I still need to block it and hopefully I can wear it next summer. Do you have any patterns that you've abandoned? So back in the day, I actually was gonna try to make my own like pillow that's similar to the Volare pillow. I was like, you know, I could crochet that, and I tried and failed miserably, and I was like, no, I couldn't crochet that. So I frogged it, and if you guys don't know about the Volare pillow, you should. It's this little pillow that goes around your waist, and while you're crocheting, it helps you maintain proper posture so that you don't have a lot of back pain. And you can also read, and you can also game, and you can also use my code in the description to get a little discount. You guys can't see it, but I'm still wearing my Volare pillow. So besides that, I don't think I've ever abandoned a project. Even if it's a little rough coming together, I've been able to figure out a solution so that I'm happy with it. Favorite pizza toppings? Okay, I like a lot of different pizza toppings, but there's this one pizza from Zoli's and it has salami, hot honey, and mozzarella on it, and some other stuff too, but I love like pepperoni, I love mushrooms on pizza, I love green olives on pizza. Judge me if you want. I'm not super picky. As long as the pizza doesn't have barbecue sauce on it, I'll probably eat it. Who is your favorite person and why is it Lush Lux Loops? I wonder who could have wrote this one. I said I was gonna answer all the questions. Lush Lux Loops is one of my favorite people because she makes the most amazing eyes. She's very talented, she's funny, she's a good friend in the crochet community. So if you're not following her, be sure to do that. She just released a new eye collection and they are absolutely beautiful. It's a horoscope collection and I bought I think 5 different styles, so I'm super excited for those to come in. What project from 2024 are you most proud of? So I'm gonna break this one into 2 parts. The piece that I'm most proud of is probably my Luna Moth Dragon by Red Mills Crochet, but I'm also really proud of my order that I got for 3 giant Nessies from Moon Tiasha. I'm probably not saying that right, but yeah, it just took a lot of grit to kind of focus and get all of those completed in a decent amount of time. So I'm really proud of both of those, and they were bigger makes, so it just felt really good. Like I got something accomplished whenever I finished them. Would you even consider branching out from making plushies? Why or why not? Every now and then I try to make clothes, but I just feel like I'm not as good at making clothes, and I've made like scarves and hats and tops, and I just don't have as much fun as when I'm making plushies. So yes, I branch out on occasion, but I don't have as much fun as I usually do. Any patterns that you were hoping to try out? Yes, there are a ton of patterns that I'm hoping to try out. I currently have hundreds of patterns in my files that I still need to make. Maybe not hundreds, maybe like 50. I really want to make those big dragons from Zero Gravity Crochet, who's been killing the dragon game lately, but her original ones looked like Taryn and Andarna, and I just thought that was really cute, and I really want to make those. Woohoo, I can't wait for Onyx Storm to come out. I also want to make the new little sprite cutie from Squishy Stitch. I also still haven't made a Winnie the Dragon, so that's on my list for this year. It's just a really cute pattern, so As you can tell, I'm more into the mythical swing of things already with like my patterns and everything this year. So I'm hoping that that continues because it's fun to just make stuff that doesn't really exist. Who are your biggest crochet inspirations? I have a lot of crochet inspirations. There's a lot of people that have inspired me along the way on my crochet journey so far. Just to name a few off the top of my head, definitely Crochet Me's Baddie. He's just a light in the community and honestly just like such a cool and down-to-earth guy, and he just spreads a ton of positivity. And I remember the first time I got picked for one of his tests, I was like blown away by like how nice he was, because I was scared because I was like, oh, he's a big account, he's gonna be like, your work sucks, but he was like super nice. Millie was also one. It was really cool to see her kind of grow and get big in a short amount of time because she was just doing amazing with all of her new patterns that she had coming out. Fun fact, I tested Millie's koi fish, which was like, I think maybe her first pattern that she ever wrote, and she didn't remember me. And then we like met again later. So that's a fun thing to reminisce on. And then I also really like Crochet with Jenna. I've followed her since the beginning and she's definitely an inspiration. Again, like she just has a really great personality. Her work is awesome. How many markets are you hoping to do this year? Well, this is a very loaded question. I have only applied for one market this year so far, and it's a Comic-Con, but it's 3 days. So I'm kind of waiting to see if I get accepted into that one before I start making other plans. I'm probably gonna do at least one in the spring at minimum, and then I have 2 that I do yearly in December that I'm going to do again this year. And then I'm also going to do the Jingle Bash, which is in November again this year. So once you kind of do markets and get into the swing of it, you'll be able to be a repeat vendor in most cases. So you don't have to like fight to get a spot again. Your spot will be reserved if you want it again. So it's definitely nice just to know that I have a few things already set up and I haven't like really looked into anything. For now, we have 3 planned, maybe 4 if I get accepted to the Comic-Con, which would be really cool. It's called Fan Expo and it's in Dallas. And if I get accepted, I'm just planning to make like 1 million Pokemon. So if you have any ideas of what else I can make for that, if I do get accepted, please let me know in the comments. What are your goals for pattern design this year? I want to release at least 1 pattern a month if I can, but I'm not going to push it too hard. And I've been really inspired at the beginning of this year. Like, y'all have probably seen that I've just been kind of pushing out a bunch of patterns really quickly, which is nice because, you know, I was just so weighed down by all the market stress and market prepping that I had to do that I didn't really have a lot of time to create new things and new patterns for y'all. So it's been really nice to kind of get back into that swing. My Patreon subscribers and the Crochet Collective tier are definitely going to get 1 pattern a month with their subscription. So I'd say my goal is to write at least 2 patterns a month, 1 for Patreon and 1 for the general public. What is 1 pattern you could make over and over and not get sick of it? If you go and look at my Instagram and you just scroll down my feed, you're going to see that I only like to make stuff 1 time and I never want to make it again. So I don't know what's wrong with me. It's just hard to do that. So there's no patterns that I'm just like sitting here making on repeat. A few that I have made multiples of. I've made a couple of repeats of the Pokemon from Crafted for Comfort because those are always really popular at markets. I've also made at least like probably 50 loaf cats and mini loaf cats. And I actually don't really mind making that pattern since it's so quick. I don't mind making the little claw machine animals since they're so quick. What I do mind though is making like a lot of them back to back to back to back to back. Because it does get tedious and it hurts my hands to put in those tiny little safety eyes. Yeah, I don't really like making anything back to back to back. I like to have some variety and I like to switch it up, but obviously whenever you're market prepping, you have to make some repeats of stuff. So I would say I'll give loaf cats as my final answer. What yarn do you dislike working with the most and why? Okay, so whenever I first started crocheting, I was super into Parfait Chunky because they had so many colors and I was spending a fortune on shipping all the time to get it. Their quality has just drastically decreased in the time that I've been crocheting, which is only like 2 years. It's almost impossible to sew with their yarn. It just like frays. I'll show you what I mean. So I literally just went over to my stash of it and grabbed a random skein, and it just pulls off. Oh. Wow. Okay. It's really not good. It's fine to crochet with, honestly, but I just like hate having to sew with it. So I would say that's probably my least favorite yarn. I also am not the biggest fan of Bernay Blanket just because it takes a lot of effort to crochet with that yarn. It's kind of like a workout, and I don't like to feel like I'm working out when I'm crocheting. Parfait Chunky and Bernay Blanket are my 2 final answers. What are some of your favorite things people have created with your patterns? Let me just say, anytime anyone makes something with one of my patterns, it is the coolest thing ever just to see someone else's take on it. A couple of things that come to mind are my pattern testing group for Gizmo the Goblin. Everyone did such an amazing job, and they all had such a unique take on it. I remember the Crochet Cloud was in that group, and she did like a little strawberry gizmo, and I think that's the first time I ever interacted with Nikki, aka Squishy Stitch, who is known for her Forest Guardian pattern now. She made the cutest little gizmo, and it was like holding an ice cream cone, and it had its tongue out. Sweet Fluffy Stitches was in there, and she made one that was like holding toast. Crochet Me Zaddy was in the group too, and he did like the crocheted eyes for his. Cozy Crochet by Tasha was in there, and she did like a little honey covered gizmo with a little bee detail on his head, and those are the ones that come to my mind. But everyone in that group did such an amazing job, and it's just really cool to like see all of them laid out on the pattern tester page. Another favorite pattern test that I had was for my Primrose the Pixie pattern. All of my testers just did so amazing. Every Primrose the Pixie was so perfect in its own way, and I love the different themes that everyone chose. Just please admire all of these creators and their amazing work, because they absolutely killed it on this one. Favorite things to make for you. That's funny because I never make anything for myself. The things that I enjoy crocheting the most are plushies. What's your best selling pattern that you created? That would be my Lenny the Lion. He was actually the first pattern that I ever designed, and he is my best seller. So if you need a good lion pattern, people seem to like this one. And he's just super cute. So I will have my original Lenny forever. If you could go back and give yourself one piece of advice from when you started, I'd probably say to just trust that you'll get better over time, because my first makes were not very pretty, and it was very frustrating to see what the pattern looked like versus what I made. I would just say that gaining crochet skill takes time, and to be patient and work really hard, and you'll get better. Top 3 favorite patterns. This is a hard one because, like I said earlier, I don't really make patterns more than once, and I should. At the moment, I'm going to say I've really enjoyed the last few pattern tests that I've done. I recently made a little cubone for Crafted for Comfort's pattern test, and with a 3D printed skull, it just looks super cool, so I really enjoy that pattern. I also just tested the Jubilee pattern for Posy Creates, and it's just a really cute snuggler. It's a mini version of her other dragon snuggler that I really enjoyed making. And I also just tested a Mew pattern for Pebbles Crochet. It's my very first pattern test that I've done for her, and it is just such an amazing pattern, and I love it a lot. So maybe not my favorites of all time, but my favorites at the moment right now, because they're what I just made. What made you start crocheting? Well, I kept seeing cute crochet plushies all over my Instagram and all over for my algorithms on every social media, and I really wanted to buy some plushies, but I was like, do I really need to spend money on that? So I figured it'd be cheaper if I just made them myself. So that's what inspired me to start, just seeing other people's work and how cool it looked and how much fun it looked like. So I'm very glad that that happened to me so I could start crocheting. Why are you such a crochet baddie? Asking for a friend. Well, thank you, Millie. I guess I just am. What do I do with the ends I weave in? Do I knot them? What do I do? LMAO. Well, it depends on what you're working on. If you're working on something like that's a single panel rather than working in a round, there's a lot of good YouTube tutorials about weaving in ends, so I'll find a good one and I'll link it below so that you can look at that. And then for plushies, as long as the piece is secured fully, I usually just weave it in and out of a couple of stitches before I cut the yarn, and then I just tuck the yarn tail in. How do you recommend sewing parts on? Because I do it different every time. So something that has absolutely changed my life is sewing sticks. So sewing sticks allow you to pin your pieces in place exactly where you want them, and then I just insert my hook through the plushie where I want the piece to attach, and then back through the loop of the piece that I'm attaching, and just continue doing that around, following where it is sitting on the plushie with the sewing sticks to help keep it in place. I hope that makes sense, and maybe I'll do a tutorial on that another time. Do you have a favorite yarn weight to work with? Yes, I would say my favorite yarn weight is a weight 6 like this up here, because it makes my plushies look really full and nice. Do you have a favorite hook size? In fact, I do. My favorite hook size is probably a 4.5 millimeter hook, and that is because that's usually what I use with my weight 6 yarn, but occasionally whenever I'm working with a thinner yarn like Baby Bear or Brene Velvet or something like that, I'll use a 4 millimeter hook, which I like just as much. Although whenever you're working with a smaller hook, your pieces will turn out a little bit smaller. How did you learn to crochet? This is a good one. So I got a kit for Christmas because I asked for one after seeing all the cute plushies all over my social media, and it was a little penguin kit. It wasn't Woobles, it was from someone on Etsy, and it came with the yarn, the stuffing, the hook. I really just looked up YouTube videos for every stitch that I didn't know how to do, which was all of them because I was just starting out. I remember it took me like a week straight. I tried every day to make the magic ring and I couldn't figure it out. And once I got that magic ring to close, it felt like the best day of my life. And ever since then, it was just easier to catch on to new things. And even now, whenever I test patterns or get a new pattern, I learn new things in all of them. Learning to crochet really never stops. If you were wondering what I'm doing with my hands, it's because Max is sitting in my lap and he's being really cute. What is your main crochet goal this year? What is your main non-crochet goal this year? My main crochet goal is to just stay consistent with my pattern designing throughout the year. I do make most of my money from my small business on crochet patterns, so it'll just be nice to kind of release them to be able to get some more sales from those. And I also just love seeing people using my patterns in the community, so it's very rewarding in more ways than one. So I'd say that's probably my crochet goal, because there was a little chunk of time in 2024 where I was so focused on markets and market prepping that I didn't really have time to design like I like to. My non-crochet goal this year is to just kind of stay organized and just to remember that everything has its place and everything needs to go back in its place when you're done using it. Because if y'all watch my yarn organization video, you know how it can get over here. How to grow your account effectively. So my growth was very slow at the beginning, and then once I started releasing patterns, I feel like that kind of helped me gain some traction from those pattern testing posts where, you know, I asked people to follow me, to put their name in the hat to possibly be a pattern tester. And I would just say consistency is key. I post something almost every day, and the more posts that you have, the more likely new people are to see it. And I would definitely say People mindlessly scroll reels all the time, so try to make a lot of reels, try to find some trending audio, and try to find some trends that you can relate back to crochet, and just don't stop. Don't ghost your account for months at a time and post once and expect that you're gonna blow up overnight, because that's not gonna happen. And if you keep doing that, sooner or later you are going to start growing. And if you just stay consistent and keep doing that, people are going to eventually notice you. Favorite way to do magic ring to make it most even? Well, I'll show you how I do a magic ring, and I hope that that helps. I'm gonna be using this trash yarn to do this, so hopefully it doesn't snap. But the way I do my magic ring is I'll just do it really slow. I loop around that finger, and then I loop around there. I'll do that one more time, and I'll slow it down as well so that you can really see what I'm doing. So you want to make a little X up here, and then you want to go under that first side of the X and pull this through, and then yarn over and pull that through. And then I make the ring as small as I can. And then let's say we're doing 6 single crochets in the magic ring. So I'm gonna go in the loop, grab that, pull it through, yarn over, and pull that through. So that's 1. I'm gonna repeat that a couple of times. 2, 3, and then before we are completely done, I'm gonna go ahead and pull this, just because you have a better chance of it not tearing when there's just a few loops in there. And then I'm going to go back through that middle, the same place that I was going through before. It's just scrunched up now. I'm gonna put my hook back in there, and you still want to make sure you're going over the other one as well. And then just do the rest of them. So that's 4, 5, and 6, and then pull it, tie it one more time. So that's your magic ring, and then you'll go into the next stitch to start your next round. And that's how I do my magic ring. I hope you guys enjoyed this little Q&A session. I had fun reading through everyone's questions and answering them. Thank you to everyone who asked a question and was a part of this. I appreciate you. And please be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't yet. And we'll see you next time.